What's going on, virtual golfers? Welcome back. Today we're going to be going through what I think are the best ways to practice in PGA Tour 2K25. I want to walk you through a little bit of the practice facility that they have given to us in the game, maybe some things that you didn't know with how to maneuver through that and get yourself in some different positions. But then I'm also going to build out like a very bare bones practice facility for when you want to take it just that next step. So if you enjoy this kind of video, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more. We also do plenty of other PGA Tour 2K25 content that you don't want to miss out on. Let's dive on in. So the game gives us a training facility. You just have to go over from your home tab to play and down to training. And that is going to give you three options. So you have the driving range, the approach practice, and the putting practice. Driving range is pretty straightforward. You're on a tee box. It's not fully flat, fairly flat, but you can get some practice swings in. Nothing wrong with that. You can hit at some of the targets if that's what you want to do. They also give you the option to toggle the wind on and off. And I'm going to skip approach practice because that's where we're going to spend the most of our time. Putting practice, it'll put you on a green. As you make putts, it'll move you around. You're able to do stuff. I don't think the putting practice is the best just because the green speed is very, very low and the putts aren't all that complex. So you don't really get too much out of it. In my opinion, I would wait until maybe some putting practice courses come out. When I see some of those in the game, if they get maybe ported over from 2K23 or there's some new ones, I will try and let you guys know what ones exist because those can be good for getting some putting practice in. But today we're going to focus on approach practice. And then as we get further into this video and create our own little practice facility, you'll be able to take it further in dialing in some of your distances with winds, maybe some elevations, things like that. So the approach practice when you load in is going to probably load you into some sort of greenside practice, but there is more that you can do with it than that. Now, I apologize ahead of time to PC users. I do not know the keybinds. Circle or B on the controller is going to give you access to relocating where your character is. So if you like the pin set that you're at, you can just move your joystick and place yourself wherever you want to be, and this green circle is going to remain your target. So if I wanted to practice maybe some short-sided shots from the fairway here, I could do that. If I wanted to go across the green and have some long shots, I could do that as well. If I really wanted to go further and maybe take some full approach shots or some fuller approach shots, I could do that. You press X and that's going to place you, and so now I've got a full wedge. But this is not the only place that you can hit to. There are 4 different locations throughout the training rounds. If you hit right or left bumper, you can cycle through them. And as you see here, we're going to hit right bumper, and it's going to move us from this hole up here to this hole down here. Now, 3 of them are in this facility right here. Right bumper takes me to this. If I go left bumper twice, it's going to take me back to this one. The 4th one is across the way, so if I hit right bumper, right bumper, right bumper to go to the 4th spot, it is down across the parking lot and down over here. This is the last one. This is personally the one that I have used the most because down through this fairway here, you can actually hit some longer clubs in. So if you're just looking to maybe test some things out, you can go into the start menu and also turn off the wind. You can do auto mulligan, which is going to leave your settings from the previous shot. If you want to just rinse and repeat and you're really trying to test something out. But here you can just see like, okay, I'm hitting a shot up into the wind. Maybe I'm going to play some loft and spin on it, try and knock it down and just see how that plays. That aim was apparently way off to the side, but that's besides the point. The shot here doesn't matter. It's more so the practice of it all. You get to mess around with some things. So that's what the game has given us. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dive in further and do what I like to do in every game and create my own training facility. A large flat space with a line going right down the middle of it so that I can test wind directions. I can make sure, I see how my shot is coming out. I can do some green speed testing, things like that. So let's dive on into that. We're going to hop over to the designer, and I'll try and walk you through it. So the designer is all the way over on the far right. Just tab over a few and go to create a new course. I will say the big thing with this, there are published practice courses that you can use. That is 100% fine, and they may do the trick for most people. The thing that I like about having a practice course that you design yourself is that if you never publish it, you have the ability to rewind shots, to just move your marker and place the ball. It just gives you that little bit extra to be able to practice with and mess around and not have to worry about stroke limits and replaying a course over and over to test out what you want to. So obviously, give it a name. I'm just going to call it P2. Apparently, I can't do that because it's not enough characters. Sure, P21. Pick your theme of choice. I tend to just stick with what the default is. Try and keep it with as minimal water. But at the end of the day, we're going to go in here to terrain, and we're just going to turn all of these sliders down to 0. I don't really want anything, actually, because this might still leave us with some water about, right? All right, if you don't want some water, I think we can probably put the hills up a little bit because we're just going to end up flattening an area. So this way, the water is all kind of hidden. And then layout, I want absolutely nothing. I want absolutely nothing. We're going to make everything from scratch. And this is just going to give us as blank of a canvas as possible. All right, so like many of you, I am not a designer. I don't know my way around this very well, but it is ultimately not too bad. So first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to tab over 1 to edit holes, come down to create surfaces, and then we're just going to make a fairway. We're going to use the fairway brush tool. I just make a giant square. Nothing more to it than that. Press up on the D-pad, scale it out. You can make a giant square here. Perfect. Now we have a square fairway, right? Leave the marker, go back a few, and we're just going to tab over a couple sculpting, landscaping tools, and we want to flatten, pick the square, match it up. It looks like there's water, but don't worry, it's going to flatten it, and you're not going to see the water at all. So now, as you can see, we've got a giant fairway surface, a little bit of rough around there. Maybe that's something you want to utilize later. Whenever you go to play the hole, there's an option to play from location. Move your cursor over there, drop it, and then you're hitting out a rough. Easy peasy. So now we've got the first step. Fairway is created. We're going to go back over, and just like we did for the fairway, we're going to create another surface. This time, we want a green. Again, we go in, square, up on the D-pad, scale it on up. I personally like making a giant green. That way I can hit driver, still end up on the green. I can test it that way. Personal preference, you can make things to the size that you want. But now we've got a fairway with the green in the middle. This is going to allow us to putt onto fairway, see fairway resistances. We can putt onto the green. If you want to try and get more advanced with it, you can probably put some different things on here. But we have a fairway, we have a fringe, we have a green. Yeah, if you want to start adding other objects, that is your prerogative. I'm just trying to keep it simple and get it set up in a very baseline manner for us here today. So now that we've got our fairway and green complex, the last thing to do is go back and create a hole. So I'm going to line a hole up here at the edge, draw a straight line. This has been the hardest part for me, is drawing a straight line. I'm going to try and keep it down this here dark stripe. And I like to put it somewhere about 300 or so yards away. That way I fully have a driver that I can hit out here. We'll go like 320. We'll go 320, and I was on a dark strip. Now I'm not. Back over. Boom. Okay, so now we've got a hole. If you want to drop some bunkers, you can absolutely just create surface and say you want to just put some sort of simple bunker that you want to test out of. You could go down, and I could just put one over here, and now I have a bunker that I could drop a ball into and practice splash shots out to test how far do they roll out, right? Because the big thing with this is I can control the wind, I can control the green firmness, I can control the green speed. So I can practice some different situations and say, okay, baseline, I know how far these things roll out. We will get to that. The last thing I like to do personally is I place a wall. The wall is just kind of a point of reference for me. You can go over to objects. You got a bunch of different walls that you can choose. Don't use something with railings. I'm gonna just pick like a simple brick wall here. We'll use the spline tool. Drop it on the line. Run it all the way back towards the beginning. And we're gonna drop it on the line here as well. And then we just hit done. In my case, that's a circle. That gives us a straight line wall reference from hole to tee. All that does is when I hit a full shot, I can see deviation very easily. You don't have to put the wall. It's just something that I like to do. But now we've kind of got a practice facility set up. And the last thing is to actually utilize the practice facility. So if you go over to play test, you can play from here, play from hole, and play course. Right now, play hole and play course are going to be the same thing. We have a singular hole set up. But play from here, wherever you've got your marker over. So say I want to hit out of this light rough. I can just aim there, and ta-da, we are hitting out of, I guess it's not light rough. I guess it's fairway. We're hitting out of fairway. Right? So I can go through my different clubs if I wanted to test how far does the putter roll on just the fairway. I could do that. I could cycle through, does this really do anything for me? Not so much, because the fairway we know are going to be good lies. It's more for the putter, but once you're here, you can rewind the shot, and that's the beautiful thing of it. So if I wanted to test wind, I could come out here to edit course. I could go down to wind. Maybe I want to test out high wind direction out of the north, and then I can hit play course. Well, now we're on the tee box, and we have the wind meter. Here it's fully side to side, just a little bit in. So what you can do is scout cam. Now you can see you've got the 11 miles an hour. I can go into my settings, and I can go into difficulty and turn ProVision wind on. And what that's going to allow me to do is still see, it's kind of a bug that we're utilizing to our advantage. We can still see the 11 miles per hour, but we can also see the yardage change that is in play here. I'm going to want to have my aim marker on so that I'm able to see it on my marker. So I've got a 100. Oh, this is a putter, so that doesn't make sense. But I can see here that I have a 101 yard shot, but this 11 mile an hour crosswind is actually taking 5 yards off of my shot. You can see now that as I back out, I've removed it. So that's important information, is that, like, don't back out of it. You're going to lose your wind marker. But then you can also, if you have your swing line on, like, you can see if I really fade it, look how I'm gaining yards. If I draw it into that wind, I'm going to lose. So it's a very powerful way to test and see. I recommend when you're doing stuff like this, turn your difficulty down to perfect swing, take off all of the things, make it as easy as possible to test the variables and how they play with your clubs. It's just going to give you a lot of very good visual reference. Other things that you can test now that you're here, you can hit some shots out. Here's that giant fade that we played. But firmness and green speed come into effect, right? So you can see a full 120-foot putt. I can hit that. Does it truly roll 120 feet? That's the real question. The answer is, it looks like it rolls out actually to 119 feet. So what's the true answer? We've got 121. It looks like we've got all sorts of rounding stuff. Something is rounding it up to 121, but it's actually rolling out to 119. Very, very small differences here. But if we go back out to edit course, we can modify some other variables here, right? We can tab one more over, and now we can go to our green settings. Green settings, say I want to up the green firmness to be a lot firmer, and I want to put the green speed to be pretty fast. Let's put it to like 13, for example. We go back over to play the hole. Well, now we can test, okay, how does my 7-iron play when it bounces and rolls out on a firm and fast green? Right? I can configure that and really test things. But then here's the fun little nugget with your green speed. So that 120 rolled out just like a little bit short. Well, here's 163 feet green speed. Is it going to roll out 163 feet? The answer is no. It's actually going to roll further. So beware. This is why the green speeds can get quite dangerous as you get up to the higher speeds. That rolled out 170 feet, though it says 163. So it's those little nuances that now that you have this test facility and you can actually configure all the different pieces of it, you can test for yourself and see how do things truly behave, how do they behave with my clubs in particular, because everybody's playing a slightly different bag. You know, maybe you've changed the lofts on your wedges, maybe you have a different power stat than other people do. You're going to be able to see maybe a different shaping, right? You can see your mins and your maxes, or the mins and maxes of what you would normally play, and just see how it interacts with wind at different directions. You know, it's very easy to take what people say at point blank. It's probably a very general statement and a good point to start with, but if you really are nerdy like me and you want to dive into the fine details and really break it down, I think this is a great way to do it. So I think that's all I have to say about the practice facility. If you enjoy, please leave a like. It helps me out tremendously. If you made it this far, it is awesome. Hopefully I will see you around the course in another video. We've got our career mode going on. We've got our live streams. We'll try and have some maybe other tutorials as I feel inspired to do it. I don't want to just make tutorials for the sake of it. I want to actually make things that I feel confident in and feel like I have something to bring to the table. So that's all I got to say about that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.